Hi guys, my name is Daniel and welcome back to Born Poor Die Rich. Thank you for subscribing to this channel as well as following my videos on property investing and financial freedom. And I've received questions from some of you. How do I even start thinking about financial freedom when I'm perhaps starting out in my journey, or I've never really thought of how do I manage my monies well, where at the end of the month there's hardly anything left to be even thinking about how do I save to build an investment fund or investment pot in order to invest in quality assets. So in this short video I'm going to share with you this life-changing method which I learned, and it's called the Harv Eker's money management jars system. And how this works, it really operates on the principle of paying yourself first. So most of us, when we started out and we first got a job, what we tend to do is once our salary comes in at the start of the month, we just spend our monies, and then at the end of the month we look at how much is left. Typically there isn't very much left. In this principle about paying yourself first, is when the money comes in at the start of the month, immediately the money is then apportioned to the different priority areas in your life, and then you spend what is left. So it's a total mindset shift or difference. So let me go into what these 6 jars really are about. The first jar is called necessities, and typically this constitutes about 55% of your salary, and it accounts for things like your food, your transport, paying for your bills, necessities that you need to get by in life. The second jar is called long-term savings for spending, or the LTSS jar. So what this means is it could be you're saving up for a holiday, or you're saving up for your kids' education, or perhaps you could be a couple planning for your marriage and you're saving up for your honeymoon. So how could you break down, firstly find out how much you need then, and then reverse engineer to break it down in terms of how many months of saving, perhaps 10% of my salary do I need in order to afford for that, or to be able to achieve that goal. So the second jar is the long-term savings for spending. And the third jar, which you can allocate about 10% of your salary to as well, is called the financial freedom account. And this is absolutely important and is where your investment fund starts to grow. And you might think, 10% may not be much if you look at it on a monthly basis, but imagine over 12 months, 24, 36 months, that slowly but surely starts to grow. Yeah? And the fourth jar is called your education account. And these could be things like buying books or going to seminars, attending courses with, to learn from people who are already where you want to be. So education jar is absolutely critical. The next jar is called your giving jar, and you can also allocate about 10% of your salary to that jar. It could be to a charity of your choice, helping out a good cause. And people might think, wait till I am rich before I start giving. But that's the beauty of this system. When you start to think in terms of percentages, you can start to give however much you have, and just allocating a percentage of that to these different jars. And the last jar, which is a really interesting one, is called the play jar, and you might want to allocate the 5% that is remaining to that. So the play jar is interesting because it does take a lot of discipline to follow this system, and this amount of money that goes into that jar is for you to spend on luxuries or things that buy yourself a nice meal, or if you're looking to save up for either a nice massage or give yourself a treat, this is the jar that you go to. And what is interesting is that this money that goes into this jar cannot then be applied to your other jars, or you say, oh, maybe I'll save it up. You're meant to spend the money that's in this jar so that it gives you the motivation to continue operating in this system of discipline of managing your money. And I would say there are 2 other tips that I would leave with you. The first is you can always adjust the percentages depending on your life stage. So for example, if you're starting out and you are perhaps in debt, I'm going to leave you another video just on how to get out of debt in the fastest possible way. But of course, if you're in a situation where your necessities is much more than 55%, you can slowly start to adjust that percentages. Firstly, think of how you can reduce your basic expenses every month so that you can bring it nearer, bring the necessities figure lower, such that you can apportion more of your salary to the other jars. So adjusting the percentages as you need. The second tip I'll leave with you, and is especially useful in this Singapore context, is how you can automate this system, where I actually have a DBS account and I've set up additional my savings accounts where, one account could be my financial freedom account, one could be my LTSS account, and when my salary or my monies come in from different sources, every month it immediately is automated such that a direct debit goes out to these accounts. So when I look at my spendings account, there isn't very much money left because I've operated the principle of paying myself first. But in the long run, when you look at different jars, then you start to see, okay, these priority areas in my life have been planned for. I've been saving up in a very disciplined manner towards that, and now I can perhaps start to build my investment pot and look for quality investment opportunities. So I hope that video was useful for you. If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel and also visit our website at bornpoordierich.com. Till the next video, see you then.